Christy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning. It is great to be here in such a beautiful place. I want to thank the chair of the Municipal Art Society board, Christy McClear, for that introduction. And I want to thank MAS President Elizabeth Goldstein for all that you do for our city and for inviting me this morning to offer just a few thoughts. I know, and I know Christy just mentioned this, I know I missed your 125th birthday party this past week, but you have never looked better. Congratulations on 125 years of advocacy for a better New York, and here's to 125 more. The focus of your summit today is the role the individual plays in shaping the city is as timely as it is important. I think it's great that we are talking about the individual's role in shaping public spaces and public art and preserving our cultural heritage. I'm going to touch on some of those themes this morning, but before I do, I would like to set the stage with a short clip that really marked a pivotal shift in my thinking about our city.
Have you been to Penn Station recently?
It's in my district.
It's like a homeless shelter. It's disgusting.
It's in my district.
And so why are you wasting? So you give these speeches, and I just read one where you're like, Trump is bad. By the way, ignore the guy living, under the ATM machine or relieving himself next to. I'm serious. I go there every week. And that's your Penn Station is yours, and you're worrying about Trump's tax returns? Are you joking? Have you been to the men's room there? I'm a dead serious question. Have you been to the men's room in Penn Station?
In an era where there is so much disagreement, I think it's actually refreshing that we can all agree on one point. Penn Station is truly an embarrassment. And I really want to thank Tucker Carlson, I never thought I would say those words, for his efforts to bring this issue to national attention. I'm here today to make a solemn promise. When we build a new and improved Penn Station, I vow to do my best to make sure that a men's bathroom is named after him. In all seriousness, you have to laugh a little given these horrible, difficult times we're living in. In all seriousness, I am here to talk about the future of Penn Station and the neighborhood around it. As you heard in that short clip, Penn Station is in the council district that I have the honor and privilege of representing, and as many people have pointed out over many years, it's both the center of the region and New York City, and a part of the city many of us try to avoid if we can. I don't have to tell this audience about the unfortunate history here. These photographs tell the story of a city that didn't understand how to hold on to its history. And what we have today tells us the story of a city that has struggled to imagine a brighter future. And I'm here to tell you that I firmly believe that we have a great opportunity to realize a more optimistic future. But before we talk about what our future might hold, let's go over a brief history of how we got here. After the replacement of Penn Station with a Penn Station Madison Square Garden complex, it was the late Senator Moynihan's advocacy over many years that created the momentum for turning the Farley Post Office building across the street from Penn into a new home for Amtrak. Fast forward more than 20 years, it took a long time, and it's now Governor Cuomo who is finally making that vision a reality. I think it's important to acknowledge the leadership the governor has shown in almost single-handedly resurrecting this idea and providing the focus and resources to make sure that work is happening. For projects this complicated, there are few replacements for strong leadership. The completion of Moynihan Station will allow Amtrak to move most of its operations across 8th Avenue and free up significant space within Penn Station to help improve the lives of over 500,000 people a day who use that complex. It's hard to believe, but there are as many trips in and out of the Penn Station complex every single day than there are the number of people who live in the city of Miami. The subway station at Penn is the second busiest subway station in the entire city, and just blocks away, the Herald Square station is the fourth busiest in the entire city. Once Amtrak can successfully move out of Penn Station, we have a real opportunity to make meaningful improvements there. This isn't easy with the number of agencies and entities involved. Amtrak, New Jersey Transit, Long Island Railroad, New York City Transit, the federal government, the state government, municipal government. Am I missing anyone? But I am confident that with the leadership of Governor Cuomo and with the support of the mayor, local elected officials, and the community, that the stars have aligned, not to mention the Municipal Art Society. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the work of MAS and the Regional Plan Association over many years for keeping this vision alive and not giving up. I also want to recognize Community Boards 5 and Community Board 4, which have often led the way as well. It is common for communities in New York City to reflexively get nervous about change, but both of these community boards have recognized that they want to be part of the solution, and I really want to applaud their leadership and vision. Is there anyone here from Boards 4 or 5 this morning? I see Wally Rubin back there. Wally, thank you for everything you do. Wally's the district manager of Community Board 5. The vision we have locally in recent years has not been matched, of course, by the federal government, unfortunately. And I'm not talking about Senator Schumer or Congressman Nadler either. They have been advocates for this work. I want to thank them for their advocacy. The Gateway Tunnel project remains stalled because of President Trump and this Republican Congress's failure to act. And as you all know, it's also a key part of not only reshaping Penn Station and the neighborhood around it, but also has broader implications for the entire East Coast corridor. But I don't think the president's foot dragging gets us off the hook as a city and as a state. We still need to do everything in our control to lead. We still need to act boldly to develop solutions. And as the governor has recently said, we need to rise to the challenge and create a planning strategy for the Penn District. We need to get this work started immediately with 3 clear goals in mind. Number 1, a new planning framework which unlocks funding for Penn Station improvements, allowing for density, higher density in the area around Penn that would translate into increased tax revenue. That revenue would allow us to issue bonds, which would then go towards funding significant improvements in the area. Number 2, a real public space strategy for the neighborhood from Broadway to 9th Avenue, turning Herald Square into a truly great public space and paving the way for beautiful new public art that really reflects our forward-looking city. You can see it right there, some of the early potential renderings of what we could have. And number 3, a strategy for integrating the Gateway project into the Penn Station complex. As many have said, and as I have alluded to before, we need the Gateway project. Many of you have heard a lot about this project, a plan Amtrak has developed to build new tunnels under the Hudson River in order to ensure increased train service. If we don't replace the over 100-year-old tunnels under the Hudson River with new ones, we'll be putting, very literally, our lives, our quality of life, and our entire economy at risk. Can you imagine what traffic in New York City would look like if the hundreds of thousands of people coming into Midtown were taking buses and cars instead of trains every morning? Projects like these do not happen overnight, but each of us needs to take the baton during our leg of the relay race and make sure that we're doing everything we can to move this project and to move our city forward. Penn Station itself, the old version, offers us the lesson I think we all need to keep in mind. In many ways, its destruction was a result of various stakeholders in this city being caught off guard and unable to respond quickly and forcefully enough. Thankfully, Grand Central Station avoided a similar fate because a groundswell of concerned and energized citizens devoted themselves to preserving it. MAS was a key part of those efforts that took the hard lessons learned from the razing of Penn Station and mobilized and sustained an effort to preserve one of the architectural jewels of our city. We need to apply that same kind of energy and commitment to creating something better in and around Penn Station. For anyone who wants to enjoy walking in the neighborhood, who wants to be proud of a Penn Station and feel good about it, the responsibility is partially yours. But it's especially the responsibility of elected officials. Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, Senator Schumer, Congressman Nadler, myself, and many others, we all need to get on the same page, get our noses to the grindstone, and make this happen. I really believe that working together, we can pull it off, and that's what I plan to do. I'm going to be having conversations with both Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio on how we can be partners to move Penn Station and the area around it into the future. Because I think, at long last, something good can come out of a mistake that was made more than 50 years ago when the old Penn Station was torn down. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the day here and hopefully feeds their minds so we can return to this important work ahead with even more energy. We're going to need it. And I just want to end with this. You know, for many of us, it has been a painful past week, painful month, a painful couple of years. And it's it's easy to feel slightly resigned and down on the possibility of being able to contribute and make significant change in our country and even in our city. And I want to remind all of you that, as I mentioned with Grand Central Station, but every major movement to improve our city and our country, whether it be the African American Civil Rights Movement or the women's suffrage movement or the movement after the Shirtwaist Triangle Factory or the LGBT Civil Rights Movement, these were all movements that were not led by politicians. They were led by people. They were led by New Yorkers. They were led by folks who saw an injustice, who saw the need for significant improvement for our city and the people in our city, and who rose up and met that challenge against difficult odds. I think that is the work that we have ahead of us for our great city in these turbulent, changing times, and I'm grateful for the work that MAS does every single day in contributing to that change, and I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you very much.